as we are going full throttle into the new NHL season, we want to do a lot of hockey content, not just a lot of entertainment stuff, and not just a lot of football and comedy and all sorts of stuff. We are going to get into the nick and gritty of this entire thing about a full throttle going as the NHL season has just started upon us. And for all 32 teams and all fans of all 32 teams, you never know what your season's going to be. I put a preview on my channel. There's a video of that getting ready for us hockey fans. Go check that out whenever you get an opportunity. Like and subscribe if you do like that stuff, by the way. And we'll continue to do more of this content that you like. But until then, there's this little thing that's been nagging at me for the last handful of years, and I know a lot of people do a lot of videos and sort of this. What would happen if the NHL went to 36 teams? It just went to 32 not too long ago, with Vegas and Seattle now coming into the mix. But I've seen videos all over the place from 8-year-olds to everybody from post to post, from Twisted Wrister, about what would happen and who would deservingly so fit the bill to have an NHL franchise. We're going to get into that. It's my turn to do this sort of thing. Get your thermos and pail. We're going to go to work. Good to have you guys with us. I'm decked out, and I'm not going to lie to you. This is probably the first time I've ever worn this Quebec Nordique hoodie. It is a vintage CCM hoodie. I probably only worn this thing one time, maybe two, and I might as well have decked out the whole thing with my Nordiques hat, because long live the Nordiques. You know, I firmly believe deep down Quebec should have a team, but there's a certain guy that I happen to know. His name is Gary Bettman, who's still to this godforsaken era the NHL commissioner. There's somewhat of a story. He will never let the Quebecs back into the league. I don't know if it's a personal thing with him, but I don't know the whole story. But as long as he's commissioner, Quebec's never getting a team back, and that's why there needs to be change. There needs to be change in the NHL, marketing wise, as far as marketing wise, intellectually wise, the fans. Nothing wrong with the 32 teams. Nothing really. I like to do hockey talk every once in a while. Shout out to Post to Post. Shout out to Twisted Wrister. Shout out to the Jersey Zone and BW Hockey. You guys do fantastic content. Well, it's my turn. Everybody shows up and everybody throws their things on YouTube about, with all their little $9,000 computer setups, about which city deserves to have an NHL franchise. Which city has like an arena ready to go, the population, the hockey bias, the what do they have and before. I'm gonna narrow this down to you real quick. In fact, to be quite honest with you, I'm actually gonna double down on this, because a while back I was just hanging around a live stream with Twisted Wrister. It's so hard to say this name. Twisted Wrister Hockey. His name is Nick, and he's up in the Northwest. And he's a great jersey collector. He doesn't do NHL. He does a handful of other stuff that I've seen him do unbaggings and unboxings for. Fantastic dude. I feel for him because he's a Sharks fan. And the Sharks are going to be awful for a while now. But I jumped on his live stream one time about the potential possibilities of what would happen if the NHL went to 36 teams. He went through like 15, 16 something. I can't remember how many cities he went to. He dissected every single city with whatever sports teams they had in the North American base, whether it was minor league or in the major North American area. And we narrowed it down. And I'll tell you what, and there was a lot of people that was on that stream too. And he spoke my name as well, which was awesome. Thank you, Nick. I think we narrowed it down. I think he narrowed it down on the spot. So we're just gonna fizzle through this real quick. First off, as everybody knows, they just recently did expansion. Vegas came in 2000, I believe it was 2018. They came in and went to the Stanley Cup final, got beat by Ovechkin and the Capitals that year. That was the first time the Capitals finally got past the Penguins in so many years. And Washington was due. They earned that one. People were like, why is Vegas getting to Well, I'm sorry. Expansion teams now are way built different than they were a decade, two decades, three decades ago. The whole process has changed now with scouting, with your front office, who are you going to put in your unprotected list. And Vegas picked the right people. They picked the right people to get to the Cup final that year. And there's only a handful of people now that are still on that team. William Karlsson's one of them. William Karlsson was only getting 10, 15 some goals a year. Not very much with Columbus. He had a 40 goal scorer in his first year in Vegas. He scored over 40 goals that year. So they have the right piece. They even went and got Marc-Andre Fleury off the expansion draft, which a lot of Pittsburgh people weren't very happy with. But that was, unfortunately, that was the right decision. He was not cheap. That's why he's one of the best goaltenders in the world. So Vegas put their team together pretty much the correct way, although management and ownership is very, very fierce. George McPhee, and they're one of the best ownerships in the league. They're fierce, they're tough, and they're not afraid to make moves. And that's kind of one of the reasons why they won the Cup this year. They just steamrolled everybody, including Florida, in the final. If it was probably Boston or Tampa or Carolina, it might be a whole different story. But Florida was the hottest team going in, and it just happened to be the way it is. So we narrowed this down, and it's not even an argument to be who needs to go in and who deserves to. Seattle definitely deserved to. They have a great hockey bias and a very hockey tradition over there, which spans many years, from the Totems to the old school Metropolitans, which I kind of hope their Winter Classic jersey coming up is going to pay tribute to them pretty soon. They renovated the arena up there, which used to be the Key Arena where the Sonics used to play NBA basketball. Renovated it. Now it's Climate Pledge Arena, and they have a great fan base in that city. And Seattle has all five. They have all five of the major sports organizations, with the Seahawks, with the Mariners, if they got the Sonics back, which eventually they're probably going to, and of course the Sounders of MLS, and they would have all five if they get the Sonics back. Forgive me, that was a little bit of a mess, but you get my point. So immediately, who would be the best fit to put into the NHL if they went to 36 teams? That's not out of the question, because right now 32 is plenty. 32 is plenty for everybody. Like MLB should have 32, but there's not really another city right now that has a ready-made stadium. So, and there's a lot more that has to go to that anyway, but that could be for another video. NFL has 32. They're fine. The NBA is going to go to 32 eventually, and Seattle and Vegas are going to be eventually the next two. So immediately, I'll put this into a perspective. You look at Houston. I toyed with this in the very first video I ever did on this channel about Arizona's issues with their arena, them playing in a 5,000-seat college barn. Their previous landlord people kicked them out of Desert Passion, Desert Diamond Arena, whatever it's freaking called, I don't know, and they have no place to play. I said the easiest thing for them to do in this situation, with the way economics are and the world of money these days, and team-wise and everything just skyrocketing in price, pack that team and move it to Houston, because they will have a ready-made building in the Toyota Center ready to go. Rumored that there's most likely already a news thing that they're already going to be having on ice-making equipment to renovate to have hockey in that building. This is the easiest move. You could easily go and move this team to Utah. You can move it to Sacramento. You can move it to Kansas City. But, and I got a little bit of backlash from a couple trolls saying, I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, there's a rumor thing that if you get the land in Mesa, Arizona, then we'll see the Arizona Coyotes still to this day. Good luck to you. I hope it happens, because I think the Coyotes brand is awesome. So I'll keep it at that. What if Arizona stays? Then Houston would be the immediate first team I would think of putting an NHL team. You bring the Houston Aeros from the IHL days back, do a nice little brand. I think it would be awesome. And I think I would do that for another video down the road of what would happen if 4 expansion teams would come in. Houston Aeros would be the immediate first pick. My second pick would be Kansas City, because at one point Kansas City was trying to get the Pittsburgh Penguins. They were trying to buy the Penguins and move the team to Kansas City when the Penguins had the bankruptcy issues. And praise the Lord for Mario Lemieux, who bought the team. Kansas City has an arena. I think it's the T-Mobile Arena. That's only, I believe, maybe 10, 11, some years old. And they don't use that arena very, very hardly ever. You have no NBA team. You have no NHL team. You had arena football there a handful of years ago called the Kansas City Brigade. You need to have some... Patrick Mahomes cannot save you for everything. Patrick Mahomes was on Twitter saying, Kansas City Coyotes sound good. Well, you can take Arizona if you wanted to, but you can also bring the Kansas City Scouts back. Remember the Kansas City Scouts? They had the multiple colored red, yellow, and blue jerseys, and the New Jersey Devils had their reverse retro, mimicked back from the old Colorado Rocky day, but also it showed a little bit of that Kansas City Scouts time. There's your easy fit. You got an arena that you're not using. There's your number 2. And then I immediately throw my 2. Go ahead. Put the Quebec Nordiques up in there. They have a brand new state-of-the-art 17,000-seat building, and they're ready to go now. Plus, you get those great rivalries back with Montreal, with Boston, with Buffalo, and Detroit, and Toronto. You'd have, and they would play everybody in Canada again, and another Canadian team would flourish. The reason why they moved was, in fact, just because one, they needed a new building, and 2, the dollar in Canada was not great at the point, and they packed that team and they moved it to Denver, and they became the Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche have a couple Stanley Cups now. It was the wise move at the point. Now bring the team back. Remember, there was a prototype, not of these colors, but it had a wolf on the front. That was supposed to be the new rebrand. Never happened, and that jersey is so much of a relic. It's so hard to find now. eBay, good luck if it's not a fake. That was one of the only major points. Quebec had to move to the U.S. because of the Canadian dollar. Winnipeg left and moved to Phoenix because of the Canadian dollar. And then go figure. The other city I throw at you, which is kind of a little bit of a head scratcher, and that's Atlanta. There's already a bunch of people already throwing Atlanta in here because they think, well, we still have an arena. We have State Farm Arena. The Thrashers did fine. And then management screwed that up. It wasn't the team. It wasn't really the fan base, and it really wasn't the team itself, although the team went to one playoff and they got swept by the Rangers. It wasn't really the fans did not ruin this team. The fan base, the support did not ruin his team. It was management. It was the management and ownership that effed this whole thing up. And that's why they packed their stuff and went and moved to Winnipeg. Atlanta thinks they can do this a third time. You had the Atlanta Flames, and you packed that team and you moved. And then you moved. And you became Calgary. And then the Thrashers were there, and I enjoyed the Thrashers fan base. I would buy a Thrasher jersey again. I had the old jersey a long time ago. I had the dark one. It was the road one, the dark one, at the time when the dark jerseys were the road jerseys. I would support them again, but then I immediately go to the next one, and that's Hartford. Hartford deserves to have the Whalers back. Carolina owns the rights to the Hartford Whaler brand because that team was the Hartford Whalers. The Whalers moved to Raleigh because Hartford needed a new arena. State of Connecticut didn't want to pay for it. So they packed the team and moved to Raleigh. They didn't move to Charlotte, they moved to Raleigh. And Raleigh has the only sports franchise that's still labeled as Carolina. But now, as crazy as this is, Carolina has one of the best fan bases in the NHL. That team's not leaving. That team signed for PNC Arena for another 25-some years. So Hartford, when I recently just found, they did renovations to the XL Arena where UConn University sometimes plays their home games. And that is the current home of the Hartford Wolfpack of the AHL, which is the Rangers affiliate. I think there's your immediately Houston, Kansas City, Quebec, Hartford, and Atlanta's a little bit of that toss-up. And I know there's a whole bunch of other these stories that throw themselves in there. You got to throw San Diego in there. You got to throw, some people are tossing Hamilton, Ontario in there. Saskatchewan does not have anything. They have a building, but it's only 9,000 seats from what I'm told. 9 or 10,000. It's not NHL affiliate. Salt Lake is a possibility for the Coyotes if nothing happens. Austin, Texas throws their name in there. Somebody said New Orleans. I mean, it would be interesting, but I don't know if I'd buy it. Orlando's up there, but they have the Solar Bears. Cincinnati's been thrown in there. Cleveland has been thrown in there, but they got the Monsters, and they're the AFL affiliate of the Columbus Blue Jackets. But immediately, I throw this thing out there because I don't think it's going to go to 36. Portland was another one as well. But I don't think 36 is... I think 36 is possible. Like, give it about the next 6 to 7 years. But Gary Bettman will not do this. I don't want to hear this crap about expansion's going to ruin the game. 1, you're giving jobs. 2, you're building a fan base. 3, you're building the you're building the product and the fan gear for everything. And Fanatics is going to take over the NHL full time with its product and its gear. Now that they'll take over the jersey, they have all the other hats. And they all have all the sweatshirts and the gear and the hoodies for the players. They're getting the jerseys starting full-time in 2024. What would be your take? I mean, I've labeled this out for everybody, but it's always good to hear what you people have to say. If it went to 36, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I mean, if it does, it's probably going to be like 2027, 2028. I don't know what the future is going to hold, especially with the Coyote issue. That was on my first video, and it's kind of aged a little bit, but it's still a fun watch. What would you think the next 4 cities would be for the NHL expansion, if it would happen? Trust me, everybody has their opinion. Everybody from all the other cities, trust me, I've got my 4 in hand with Quebec, Kansas City, Hartford, and Houston. That's my forte, and I'd throw Atlanta as a little bit of a wild card, but what would you think? Leave your comments and let us know what you think would happen. There's really not a wrong answer to this, but it needs to be wise. Who would you believe would expand and help the game of the NHL? Folks, I needed to get this one out of here real quick because it was nagging at me for a little while because every other hockey type of channel likes to throw their 2 cents in, and well put, they deserve to. I think I deserve to. As a little bit of a novice jersey collector and a hockey fan, needed to throw my 2 cents out as well. But I'd love to be on part of some castings or some whatever or some podcast, and we could have this talk all the time. So until then, you like what you hear about as far as a little bit of hockey talk, hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll do this again soon. But I wanted to get a little bit of an NHL expansion video and throw that out there. We might run this through again down the road and talk about this again. It would be great to have you guys with us, and as always, love to have you guys around. We keep trying to grow this channel as always. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. And as always, the bar is closed, and I am happy that you guys got the chance to hang out with us today. I will see you Bloody Legends in the next one. Fade to black. Laters.